So here is our first panel. And on this panel, we have Tushar Agarwal we have Tasha from Alpha Finance, and we have JK from Stakefish. So Felix, I'd like to quickly introduce yourself to the community. I know every one of you is fairly very popular in crypto space, but still, following the traditions, we'll let each one of you introduce. Felix, if you want to go first.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on. So I'm Felix Lutsch. I'm with Chorus One. Yeah, blockchain development work in the liquid staking space and interoperability space. Most notably, recently we helped Lido or built the staking today.
Thank you so much. And I remember Chorus One's liquid staking paper was the first thing that introduced me to liquid staking. Tasha, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Tasha, co-founder of Alpha Finance Lab, and Alpha Finance Lab is a blockchain innovative lab. We work on new innovative and innovations on blockchain from DeFi, NFT, metaverse, and some of the products that we have now include Alpha Homora, which is the first leverage farming on blockchain. Now on BSC and Ethereum. Now we're going to Avalanche next. We also have Alpha X, which is coming out as a second DeFi product. In the Alpha Metaverse area, we have Alpha by Wall, which is an NFT bidding platform. Probably Rare Gems, which is a new experiment on the game and metaverse area, and a lot more experiments and innovations that we're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alpha Mora, everyone knows. They've been using it avidly. So, JK.
JK, and I'm head of strategy, business and strategy at Stakefish. Stakefish is a validator, and we help validate on various blockchains, and we've been one of the earliest validators for Cosmos. Pertaining specifically to liquid staking, we are one of the earlier, the first node operators on Lido, along with Felix Chorus One here. And so we've had a ton of discussions, I think, internally with various Lido people and also other people who have been interested in liquid staking. And so very passionate about seeing liquid staking finally come to production. As well, I'm very excited to see pStake launch very soon as well. Well, I mean, has launched already, but
thank you so much, JK. And we know that this is a new paradigm altogether. How Lido has done for Ethereum, it's like pStake launching it for Atom and Cosmos ecosystem. So, want to quickly start with you. A very quick question from all of you. How do you see liquid staking disrupting the DeFi altogether? And just a quick hint on that is we know that DeFi space is close to $100 billion in overall TVL, more or less. But the staking industry itself, is close to 200 billion with new proof of stake assets coming in. So how do you see this marriage of proof of stake with DeFi, and then both of these are merged? So on your thoughts on that, JK, do you want to start?
I think staking derivatives basically introduce an entirely organic sort of source of DeFi rewards. What I mean by that, to elaborate quickly there, is that most of the yields on DeFi today is either from borrowing or lending platforms like Compound or Aave. But the vast majority of the other ones are mostly just governance tokens basically being airdropped. And we're considering these as like yield, but at the end of the day, if these token prices don't stay up, then these yields are most likely non-existent at the end of the day. Now, liquid staking staking derivatives now introduces something different altogether, because now it's organic sort of security-based, rewards that are being provided to these staking derivatives, and you feed that into DeFi. Now, alongside borrowing and lending, you have something sustainable that could be used as collateral in the DeFi ecosystem. So this is why I'm very passionate to see how it feeds into the DeFi ecosystem.
You guys can follow up.
Yeah, I can share a bit of thoughts. I just think that staking landscape is more of like a bread and butter to DeFi, right? You see different protocols implementing different kind of staking, from implementing the security model staking, let's say like Alpha that we have, or different kind of staking with just rewards, right? So I think as DeFi continue to grow, staking will just continue to grow, because that's one of the main way for different DeFi projects to capture value and really bring together the larger community to align long-term incentives, right? So I think once more people come into staking through DeFi, and as DeFi grows, it just means a very large market for staking in general, right? And then from there, people will realize that, hey, one of the main pain points is that the staked assets are idle, and I think pStake just answers a lot of the questions there in terms of unlocking that liquidity and just multiply the yields from there. And just to add a little bit more on that front, as well as pStake is Alpha Launchpad's incubated project too. So we evaluate a lot, and we just see that there's so much growth in this space and also the project, and we really believe in this space. And I think that there are a lot of ways that we can work together, pStake and Alpha as well. And I think that will set the path for how pStake will also be integrated with more DeFi protocols going forward.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of good points already raised now, and I can only reiterate them. But I think one thing that I found very interesting is that, of course, the staking ecosystem used to be very a disparate world almost from DeFi for the last 3 or 2-3 years, where there's a staking community, we do our thing, and there's the DeFi community on Ethereum that's doing their thing, and many people are part of both, in some ways, but I think that's liquid staking really power charges that merging of these two communities and makes it all come together. And I think that's really interesting to see how that has been happening so far, and also what's to come in the future with pStake, with other liquid staking protocols, and them being used. And I think what's really interesting about liquid staking, I guess what I'm excited about too, is that the user experience just gets much better than normal staking. So we have seen people having problems with staking and then maybe not staking because they find it too hard to do even. And so through liquid staking, we can increase the people that participate in securing the network, and that's of course amazing. And super excited about
that. Thank you, guys. To build on Felix's point, I think a lot of end users do not know or may not realize the difference between staking on the DeFi side and staking a POS coin itself, or especially in terms of where the yield is coming from, and the kind of risks that the end users end up taking to generate that yield. And so I think we're super early just from a staking perspective, and so obviously from a liquid staking perspective, still super early. I think as far as staking goes, of course, Alpha has staking, Aave, Sushi. I think those are some of the bigger projects that have implemented staking on the DeFi side. A lot of POS coins, and especially more recently, because a lot of layer ones have been performing phenomenally well. I think there is more attention to POS staking, but I think it's still super early. I think my thought process is that I think especially when the ETH2 merge happens, I think that's when staking will really take off, and there'll be sort of widespread understanding of POS staking and the opportunities it presents. And I think that would be sort of this golden time for staking and also liquid staking. And so from our perspective, from a timing perspective, that's kind of something that we have in mind. And obviously going, Lido has kind of shown, and I know both Felix and JK and their respective organizations have worked very closely with Lido. And so we have a tremendous amount of respect in terms of how they have gone to market, how Lido has gone to market, and what they have been able to achieve. And with pStake, what we intend to do is sort of go after Cosmos, and as opposed to more general purpose chains like Solana and Ethereum. I think the philosophy of Cosmos and the application-specific chain thought process kind of helps us, because a lot of people do not know, but like every sort of Cosmos project has its own POS chain, which is a little bit painful, but from a liquid staking perspective presents very interesting opportunities as well, which we want to capitalize on. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to see how this evolves. And I think one of the other things that I wanted to sort of bring up as well is that, which I addressed in the initial sort of keynote as well, is that we made this sort of unpopular decision to do the asset issuance of the representative coin, not on the native chain. So decided to do it as an ERC20 coin, which is a little bit controversial. But yeah, I think, we sort of initially wanted to capitalize on the composability and liquidity that Ethereum offers, and then over a period of time, benefit from like sort of other ecosystems. And as DeFi evolves in other sort of layer one ecosystems, which is kind of what Alpha has done as well, in terms of kind of going after, Ethereum, and then kind of being flexible and open-minded in terms of going after multiple other chains where the end users reside. So I think it's super exciting to have, everyone on the panel who's kind of straddling across both DeFi and the proof of stake space.
Yeah, Tushar, just so moving on to the next question, I guess, like JK mentioned about how you're going to have fixed yield that is going to like bootstrap new use cases in DeFi. And we also talked about DeFi from the staking from the DeFi staking perspective. So currently, staking derivatives have penetrated the POS assets majorly. What are your thoughts on liquid staking for DeFi assets? We can go in the same order: JK, Tasha, Felix, Tushar, and if we can, keep the thoughts like crisp, so that we can cover up more questions on the pStake side as well.
This will largely depend, I think, on the type of DeFi staking each DeFi application has implemented, because it really, just like proof of stake blockchains, the DeFi staking area, like the way they've designed it, is all different. And sometimes it makes sense to build a liquid staking, derivative on top of these, but sometimes they don't. So primarily the moments where it does make sense would be when staking does require a lock-in and also does carry some risk. And so we'll like, I think Lido has been exploring this with Aave already. We'll start seeing these definitely on other DeFi staking, but I think at least until I think the more popular area might be proof of stake blockchain, at least for the foreseeable future, because I think it's just very clear that the need is there, along with because of the mandatory lockups, and the fact that those assets are still like cannot still be productively used, I think is a key reason why you'll see proof of stake staking being more actively created into staking derivatives.
Yeah, to add on to that, I think at the moment we have kind of build off from what JK was saying, right? Like different projects have different kind of staking, but I think as we have more quality projects, I think the main type of staking will kind of be the one that really secures the protocols, and hence, that staking will also power the governance. We see that with Alpha, with Aave, with Sushi, right? And I think more projects will also come on board as, the DeFi craze has created, a number of quality projects too. So definitely, once we have more of those projects, then, that presents a whole new, green field of opportunity for pStake.
I think a lot of protocols, right? There's staking is kind of like a core primitive that almost any token model is using these days. And I guess it was kind of conceptualized in the proof of stake world, but also now making its way into DeFi. And when there is some potential to somehow optimize, or like if you can use the stake in different ways and you can optimize it, then there's also potential for someone to kind of automate this and create a liquid staking derivative around it. I think that maybe can be like some what compared maybe to also like kind of Yearn or some like yield aggregators do, where they try to like help you like use these things in the most effective way. And I guess if the staking mechanism allows for that, then I think there is a potential for a liquid staking derivative there. I think, right, as JK also said, Lido has explored this with Delphi for staked Aave. I actually am right now not exactly sure why, what the optimization there is, but like I think it can be connected to kind of, I guess, maybe different parameters that need to be optimized or something like that. So I think we'll see a bunch of those since, you know, when the market is there's the demand for it. Like maybe some users are lazy or want to just make the most of their assets, then there's always like potential for a staking derivative there.
I'm sorry to butt in a bit, but like I did forget to mention maybe Convex, because I think Convex is probably an example of a staking derivative that's built on top of Curve in some sense. I don't think it's being sort of like really appreciated enough about like how powerful it has been, but just want to, you know, put that out there.
Yeah, Tushar, do you want to quickly share your thought as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think to JK's point, I think maybe at least to begin with, you know, POS coins would offer maybe an order of magnitude larger opportunity in terms of because I guess the use case is clear, but I think at the same time there may be certain sort of DeFi coins, as JK mentioned, which have, you know, certain lockup times or certain kind of risks associated that may present interesting opportunities as well. Yeah, I don't have anything more to add.
Thank you so much. Bring this up, and the follow-up question is about what do you guys think about are the major challenges for staking derivatives or liquid industry as a whole? Challenges that come along with it. So I just want to share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about that question. Just because, to be honest, it's not only Lido and pStake that have tried staking derivatives. There's a ton of other projects out there, and you know, it's been consistently tried, but yet you could all see that like it hasn't been until sort of Lido where sort of this, you know, the interest has like really boiled up and people really started to pay attention. The reason for this is really, I do want to highlight the role of validators. The validators are basically still the base sort of function, like the base layer of each staking like derivative project. And if there not enough attention is paid onto that validator set, that puts a lot of risk in your liquid staking protocol. And so I think Lido has done this very well, where they try to buy in, get the validators on board, get quality validators on board, and bootstrap it that way. pStake is doing something similar, where Tushar has personally reached out to me multiple times to explain about how pStake is going to be very important, and there needs to be quality validators supporting it. And so I do think that the ones successful so far is because they pay attention to each stack, starting from the validators. And so maintaining that good quality validator set is going to be the consistent challenge and the consistent sort of point to, you know, point. It's going to be a consistent point of focus.
Yeah, I think I'm just speaking from, you know, DeFi side of things, and, you know, if I were to be in DeFi user side, the main thing that will really attract a DeFi user to use liquid staking, I would say the use cases of these liquid stake or the staked assets, right? So I think that also brings challenges as well, because, you know, that also requires you to scale on that side and make sure that each token that you onboard has, you know, real use cases. And it's also not just providing liquidity to a liquidity pool, right? There must be some additional yields on that liquidity pool as well, because the standard has been quite high yields in DeFi, and users are kind of getting used to that. So I think that's going to be the cost on, you know, either the liquid staking protocols or the projects that that they work with.
Yeah, being also a validator, I think I would also highlight that challenge. Again, I think like one of the core kind of differentiators also between liquid staking protocols is like, how do you make this validator choice, and how can you do it in a way that you don't also like kind of endanger maybe the security of the network, but also like take into account the governance function, right? If all the tokens are staked through the liquid staking protocol and the token has a governance function, there is a lot of like power that these liquid staking protocols have, and there should be ways designed, like built into the protocol, maybe to still retain the governance power for the liquid staking token holders. So the people that actually like take on the risk, or that want to maybe, or yeah, other ways. So I think that's really the core challenge. And the design space is like still wide open here, and not that much experimentation has been done. Even like Lido, we took like, or it took like a little bit of a easy approach initially, where it's a very governance heavy approach, where okay, we like know all the node operators, we know who's actually good and who will provide value, and then the choices are made on that. But of course, in the long run, it would be nicer if you can have like some trustless way to include validators, to like score them, to and also like of course to respect the governance, which so far hasn't been a problem on neither Ethereum or also on Solana, not because there's no on-chain governance, but of course in Cosmos that's a big issue, or like big topic. And yeah, maybe Tushar, you can also like share what the thoughts for pStake are there. I think that would be super interesting.
Yeah, so I definitely agreed in terms of both the like all the points that were brought up in terms of creating use cases for the representative coins that are being issued, whether that is liquidity on dexes or usage of collateral to facilitate borrowing, lending. And then definitely the role of validators. Again, we have taken a simple, relatively easier approach to begin with as well, just given the amount of complexities already involved, where basically what we're doing is sort of choosing a select subset of high quality validators from the Cosmos Hub itself, or the various chains that we will be going to issue staked representative coins for. Again, known actors, known good actors, and huge amounts of social capital to be lost. Huge amounts of social capital at stake, not just financial assets. So I think from that perspective, and even in terms of the assets that are being attracted through the pStake platform, they get distributed evenly to the same validators that are helping in pStake's case to secure the bridge. So taking the easy approach, obviously, from a longer term perspective, can do different things to prevent centralization of the network with larger validators. So sort of having certain incentives for smaller validators, as long as certain other parameters like uptime, number of like missed blocks for a certain, like say for the last 5,000, 10,000 blocks. I think those are some of the parameters that can be seen. Maximum change in commission rate is something that is another parameter that can be seen. Commission rate itself, I think there can be certain guidelines with respect to what are acceptable commission rates. And so I think those are certain parameters that can be used. Obviously, the total amount of stake delegated and the distribution between larger and smaller validators. But I think those are problems that we want to deal with down the line. And just basically, at some level, our goal is to have at this moment, to have a strong go-to-market and just get the first step, which is get as many get as many STK assets issued as possible. Then we'll kind of deal with, optimizing for kind of the distribution of the stake to the validators, increasing the use cases to Tasha's point for these STK assets. But I think again, at high level, we kind of position ourselves as a liquid staking project, but I think it's more about POS asset management, or just basically there's so much that can be done with respect to creation of indexes, with creation of vaults for POS coins. I think it's a fairly blue ocean out there at the moment. One challenge that I think, in addition to to answer Abhitej's question, I think as a founder, is of course I think the regulatory aspect of it is super tricky. when we talk about liquid staking, and that's why I think the word liquid staking came about, and we don't use staking derivatives anymore. So I think the regulatory aspect of it is something that definitely is a little bit tricky as a founder.
So please edit any time I've mentioned derivatives then.
Absolutely. All very good points. And talking about, as we said, Lido, I've seen a similar approach in StakeWise, where validators, and especially with persistence altogether, it's been always about validators playing the most important role, key role. And what point Tushar as well mentioned, it's about starting at a point and then eventually moving towards like solving one problem at a time. Recently saw Sika's voting mechanism also being included in the hub, which is definitely going to offer some opportunities for people who want to solve the problems for on-chain governance, even for liquid staking solutions. So I guess it's a very open opportunity for anyone who is looking to contribute to liquid staking, is work on how to integrate split voting mechanism to something like pStake, for example, which is the first one in Cosmos, and how to bring on chain. And we would see more of such similar approaches on Solana, Ethereum as on-chain governance come around. Yeah, I guess jumping on to the last question of this panel, want to hear, Tushar, going to exclude you from this, but want to hear your thoughts on pStake in general. How do you see, like if you've tried the application already, what do you think are the ways that pStake is providing liquid staking in a better way, or the model that pStaking is going about? So your thoughts on the pStake model, one, and the ways pStake can improve from here, right? So everyone's thought.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could start it off. And quite honestly, I haven't tried the app yet. I do need to get my hands around that. But just regarding the model itself, I actually do think like the design choice of actually deploying on Ethereum is a good one. Just primarily because then this does not require you to build up bridges on your own, and that helps you sort of being like, then you're able to really scale quickly. And so pStake will be then able to support various different, liquid staking for various blockchains pretty rapidly compared to just trying to deploy these on each of the native chains. And on top of that, right now, Cosmos SDK as a Cosmos ecosystem as a whole is a thriving one. There's a ton of great projects out there that are gaining traction, that are not being pretty overlooked by, I would say, by the general community out there. As an example, of course, is Osmosis and Terra. I don't even need to go there. Now, with pStake is gonna, as long as there's this template that works for Cosmos, you could easily apply that to various Cosmos SDK chains. And that would mean then the entire Cosmos ecosystem now has access to liquid staking. And I think that would be very, very powerful, just considering how many really powerful Cosmos SDK based blockchains are out there.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think having persistence and, a lot of the tools and the whole ecosystem that you have built before, like that already provide a lot of the support system and the foundation and community that you can start off. And I think having that strong support from the Cosmos ecosystem, which is very big and huge in POS side of things already. Now it's time for pStake to really dive into and conquer the DeFi world too, right? And I think that's a good move that you have kind of echoed JK's point to launch on Ethereum, because that's where the main users are. And I think eventually, of course, if I will expand beyond Ethereum, and we have seen more, going to different chains and L2s, but I think, you will also grow with the whole DeFi landscape starting from Ethereum. And I guess one thing that to kind of answer the second question, like what pStake can do better, I think it's not so much of a better, but it's more of where I see can like skyrocket pStake's attention is you just need one like really, really strong or a few, like a handful really strong liquid staking tokens for DeFi projects on Ethereum with like solid use cases, driving high yields. It may not be sustainable in the long run, but it will really get pStake name out there, right? And then after that, it will be just the ball rolling implementing quite similar framework for other projects. And then as DeFi grows beyond just high yields, I think pStake will just kind of grow with that too.
Yeah, I think in general, I can only again agree with what everyone said. I think what's great for pStake is that it's the first mover now on Cosmos liquid staking, although the thought has been there forever in terms of what could be done and how you could do it. And I think Persistence team has proven that you're able to, build products that are used and that are successful and build like a good go-to-market strategy. And I think I'm super excited to see how this will go, and like getting liquid staking live on Cosmos is obviously a huge thing. I think, of course, there's kind of Luna on Terra, but it's a little bit right now still very limited to kind of the Anchor protocol. And I think there's like a lot of potential to have like Cosmos assets on Ethereum, but then also like within the Cosmos ecosystem itself. I think that shouldn't be like discounted too much. There's a lot emerging, right? Osmosis was already mentioned as one of the networks, but I think there's gonna be a bunch more, right? The Gravity Dex is there. I'm sure there are a lot of other chains in the works that like we are also gonna support as a validator that would love to have access to collateral, stake collateral. So yeah, hope we'll excited to see pStake live and support it from our side. And thanks for inviting me on the panel. I guess we're wrapping up soon here, so I'm just taking the opportunity to say that.
And all the points mentioned, duly noted, something that everyone and Persistence has been also trying to do. And I think Tushar has already a lot of brewing thoughts on the same, which we would communicate as it comes along. One of the points I want to quickly summarize on discussion for pStake for the audience. I guess for pStake, it was like how Osmosis sort of bootstrapped the DeFi in Cosmos ecosystem. And as Felix mentioned, there's so many use cases brewing out. Something like with liquid staking, it sort of brings another possibility to explore on Ethereum. And then eventually, like, you don't have to choose between staking or provide yield generation, right? Where you could have both sides of things. And of course, asset issuance on Cosmos itself is in the roadmap, and eventually bringing more assets onto Cosmos ecosystem itself. And to the point Tasha mentioned, it's also about giving a lot of exposure to the Cosmos and Ethereum. So I guess IBC has enabled that dream of like first bringing together all siloed chains together. And I guess with pStake, we would see this Ethereum joining, the Cosmos community as a whole, exploring both ways. When you can leverage on assets from any ecosystem, I guess that provides a lot of interest. You get a vested interest into that ecosystem. So I guess with liquid staking, Cosmos assets coming to Ethereum, a lot of Ethereum users, active users, will have vested interest into Cosmos ecosystem and its growth. So on that note, thank you everyone for joining us today. Hoping to work with you all together and brew more of these conversations, go after like point by point, and I guess we all will learn about liquid staking more as we have these open discussions. Have a great day ahead, and good night if you, JK, I know you're in Korea, so good night. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Take care.